Right folks, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Lee the Evil Wizard. Welcome. And a couple of weeks or so back, you may have seen me set up a writing and tracking template. In this video, we're going to set up a mixing template and set up some buses. So let's check this out. So yeah, as I said in that previous video, really recently bought a new PC. So I'm still in the process of setting a few things up. We're getting there. We are getting there. So I thought I'd do a quick video, quickish, on a mixing template I've been using for a little while. Like I said, with the writing one, I have thought about updating this because I have updated my template slightly. So let's dive down into Studio One and let's take a look. So we're in the main page of Studio One. We're going to start from scratch again. So we're going to go into just a blank template. So like with the other one, the first thing we're going to set up is not some tracks this time, but some folders. So like I said, you can either use the plus icon or track, or just right click in there, add folder track, or press T. Well, the first one we're going to add is drums, and we're not going to just set things up yet, just yet, boys and girls. Now my glasses make things look a little bit foggy. There we go. That's a bit better. So let's just add some folder tracks in. So that's drums. Oops, move that track. Folder track. Next one's going to be bass. Now I have used separate symbols folder every now and again. For this one, I'm not going to do that. Like I say, it's easy enough to add that in. So next one's bass. Why are you all gone in there? Move that. I don't know why it does that. Right. So what we're going to add is guitars, and these are going to be the rhythm ones. So my rhythm guitars are always in red. Now this is something I didn't do before. I just shoved all my guitars into one folder before. This is going to be my leads / overdubs folder. I've got two separate folders for each one. So the next one is going to be Vox, and I just shove all my vocals into one folder. I don't bother with separate folders for vocals and for main vocals and backing vocals. I just shove it into one. Keys are this sort of turquoise colour. Why have you went into there? Done it again a bit. Right. So they are my main folders, and at the minute they're just acting as folders. But in Studio One, you can have these acting as buses or buzzers if you're from Manchester. And it's a simple thing to do. All you do is just get the drop down and add a bus channel, and it turns all these into not just folders, but buses as well. Now, as you see, everything's going to the main folder. Now, that's not going to be how it finishes up. Not going to put any plugins in just yet, because I want to get everything set up, and then we'll start adding some plugins. So next, I'll add some effects channels. I usually have about 5 or 6. So a couple for drums, a general reverb, leads delay, vocal delay, and a slapback delay. The effects channels I have in green, and then after that we'll set up some the bus channels. What I do is I call these stem channels, and these stem channels are if you will, the mastering buses for each individual instrument group. So you've got all your drums plus the effects going into the drums one, bass, guitars, etc., etc. So we'll set up some bus channels. So we've got drums, bass, guitars, and both leads and rhythms go into this one channel, but you can add a separate one for leads if you wanted to. Vocals and keys. We'll label these up. With these being stem channels, I tend to do these in full caps. Guitars, Vox, and keys. That's keys / effects. Now, as you can see, everything's going to the main channel. That's not what we want. So all you have to do then is just click that there, and then you can have these going anywhere. So drums go to the drum stem, bass goes to the bass stem, rhythm and leads go to the guitars, Vox goes to the Vox, and keys go to the keys. So these folders tracks you don't have to set up as buses, but I found it's just a bit more easier and convenient. So it's a nice easy way to compact your tracks down. So let's just add a few tracks in there so I can show you. So let's just pick these drum tracks. from a track I am going to mix up at some point. This is one from Scott Elliott, his Melodic Black Metal 2, Desolation of Memoriam. So I'll do a mix of this, and I will do a mix breakdown on the channel. So you've got all your drums in there. They've not come through properly, but so dump them into the drums folder. But then once they're in, why have they gone there? This does happen every now and again. That was for these right there. So there you go. Better. So there's all your drum tracks. And then once you've mixed all your drum tracks up, you just close that folder up, and it just sort of keeps everything on one page. That's another reason why I like to do it. Let's just get shut through all them tracks. We don't need them for now. So I am going to add some plugins into these tracks. So I'm going to start off, same again, on the drums. So first off, I'm going to add some EQ, set the caps lock off, go away. So I am going to add a low cut, add that to about 35 hertz, and have a quite steep Q on that. So that just, everything below 35 hertz is gone. It's not in the mix, and that's just basically there just for the kick drum. So I don't bother with a low cut or a high pass filter on kicks. I do it globally on the drums bus. So next up, I'm going to pour a compressor. Now I'm going to set up two of these, and I'll show you how to save them in Studio One as an effects chain. That's the word. So the first one we're going to do is from Aurora DSP. I have been enjoying using this one, and this is the Monster 4000. There's a couple of different compressors and things that I like. You see me use the BSA one. That's another one I like to use quite a lot as well. This has got a mix knob, so I'll start it off at around about 50%, and then I'll adjust to taste. So it is sort of acting like a parallel compression. And then after that, I am going to add a clipper. I always add a clipper. I don't always use it, but it don't take up much CPU. And in Studio One, there's a thing called is it not CPU? Plug-in nap. So to get to that, all you do is under the performance bar there, you just click on that, and if that's not ticked, you just tick it, and then you've got all your different dropout protections. So that's all I have on the main bus on drums. Now, like I said, sometimes in the past I have split up my cymbals, but I've sort of gone away from that. Sometimes I'll do it every now and again, but recently I've just been dumping all the shells, all the cymbals, all the rooms and what have you, overheads, just straight into one drums folder. So that's that. So I am going to save that as an effects chain, and since this is the Monster, I'll put it as the Mon 4000. Now, like I said, another compressor that I use is, I do use a BSA, and I will set up one for that as well, but I'll do that offline, is the Presonus 2-core. So I'll put that in between the EQ and the clipper. Same again, I usually start see, that's another one that's got a mix. So same again, I usually start that off at about 50% and then adjust to taste, and then I can save that effects chain. It's 2-core, and then just to record any of them, there, should have put them in drums. So let me store them again. Subfolder. That one's in my drums subfolder. That's the Monster one. Let me restore that again. That's what I forgot to do. There we go. So now there should be. So in the bass one, just put some EQ in there. Now, I'm not going to put any high and low pass filters just at this moment in time, because I usually do that on the channels. And this EQ is just a bit of a, so I usually have not two EQ channels. Well, yeah, two EQ, but I usually have two channels. I usually have the main bass tone, a separate, if you will, that sort of mid-range tone that's really distorted. And another plugin I've been using quite a lot lately on the bass is this low control. And I've got a preset on there. Where's it gone? It's a smooth, even bass. That's the one. No, was it smooth low? Was it even bass? I think it's even bass I've been using. So just use the even bass, take it down to about 90 so hertz. Thereabouts. You can have the enhanced on as well, but I'll adjust that to taste. It's sort of like a multi-band compressor. So what it does is everything below 90 hertz, it compresses, and it gives you more even, consistent low end. Guitar's rhythm, start off just some basic EQ, start off at about 80 and start that off at about 10k. They'll be adjusted as and when, and then some multi-band compression, C4. So I'm going to bypass all these. This is what's known as the Andy Sneak trick. So all the other bands are bypassed. We're just concentrating on this band here, which is between 90 and 250 hertz, thereabouts. So it just gets really, it just sort of cleans those chugs up, those palm mutes, that chug, chug, chug. And then sometimes I have been using this sort of API style EQ, and this is not to EQ it's to EQ the guitar. This is just more of a character type of EQ, just to bring some of those air frequencies back into the guitar tone. And that's it on the rhythm guitars. On the leads, but have some EQ on there. Lead guitars, get shut of everything below 150, shut of everything above around about 5.5K. Like I say, these are just your starting points. I may or may not add some compression in there at the moment, but at the moment, later on, sometimes I just usually do that on the individual tracks. On the Vox, I am just going to bob some EQ in there. I'm not going to put any high and low pass filter because all that's done on the individual tracks. And same again, just going to copy that same EQ across onto the keys. So next, we'll move on to the effects channels. So the first one is going to be drums distortion. Now, one plugin I have been using a lot on drums lately is this Loch Ness. I'm absolutely loving this. I love it. So Loch Ness, absolutely love that plugin. You've got some filters in there as well, but I'm just going to copy and paste that EQ across. I'm just going to take out everything above 9K-ish. This next one is going to be a drum verb. So this is where I'll put snares, toms, that sort of thing. I don't usually add kick into this, but every now and again I do. And it is a Aurora DSP again. Where's it gone? Rock and pull verb, and I'll just pick whatever preset in there, or I'll adjust to taste, and then I will add that same EQ in there, and then both of them want to go to the drum stem. Now this is just going to be a general verb. This is not an effects channel I use all the time. Sometimes I'll use it for say some atmospheric black metal, and everything goes into that channel. But it's like really, it's almost inaudible in the mix, and it just adds a little bit of atmosphere. And reverb we're going to put in there. Put one of my slight ones in. Where have you gone? No, you're not that far down. I know that. Verb suite, that's the one. And I usually end up picking up one of these presets, but I shall leave that as is for now. So next is going to be the leads delay, and I'm just going to use the stock analog delay in Studio One. Set that to quarter note delays, feedback about 25%, 1% wet, and then just add that same EQ and then bring that low pass down. And then that wants to go to my guitar's stems. And then next is going to be just the normal delay, and this is going to be for vocals, like for the vocals delay throws. Now I could use that. Now I could use that same analog delay. Now then, I've waves, or I could use the one from BSA. But for now, I am going to use the analog delay. I'm going to have that same EQ, but I'm just going to bring that filter back up a touch, and then this is going to be a slapback delay. In fact, tell you what, I'm not going to use that one. I am going to use the one from BSA. So we've got BSA delays right there, and I'm going to use it on ping pong. I'll have it on quarters for now, but I'll adjust all them settings when we get the mix going. So that's going to be for my. Sometimes I'll use it as a main delay. Sometimes I'll use it for delay throws, and then we're going to have a slapback delay. And I'm going to use that same BSA, and I'm just going to have it on slap one. They've got slap one and slap two. From what I can remember rightly, slap one is more of the old-fashioned slapback delay. Slap two is a bit more of a modern style one. And we'll have that same EQ on there as well. And then both of them go to my vocals stem tracks. Now, one thing I do like to have on these, where's it go, is a thing called A Console from Sonymous. Now, and I shall have them. I should just copy that same plugin across all the stem tracks. And what that A Console is, it just gives a bit of console emulation. Sometimes I'll use it on the single tracks as well as the buses. And then after that, I am going to add an EQ across all the stem tracks. And that's just for any final bits and bobs in EQ on each instrument group, and it's only tiny amounts. Like say if I feel there's a bit too much low end in the kick, I can just put a gentle little shelf on there. So last but not least, we shall move on to our master or main fader or two-bus. Everybody's got their own name for it. So first thing I'm going to add on to it is the A console again. This is going to be a bus one, as it's on a bus, and we are going to group all these tracks on here so we can actually affect them with these faders. That's going to be group one. In fact, we can do them up here. Drums, bass, guitars, box, and keys. Then we go back to the stem, so that's already been set up. Let's go into the bass, let's go into the guitars, let's go into the box, and then that's going to the keys. Now without moving these faders here on the stems, collapse that, I can do it on this plugin here. After that, I have a bit of bus compression. And where we gone? Is it that one? Yes, it is. I just use the good old-fashioned SSL bus compressor. Many others are available. Just use it, have it in those settings, and then I'll adjust to taste. Usually I aim for about 2 to 4 dB of gain reduction on there. Next, I'll have a bit of tape emulation, which is going to be the Slate one, virtual tape machine. And obviously there's nothing going through there at the minute, so it's not doing anything. And after that, where we gone? Nope, it's on Ox, I have the Oxford Inflator. Now I'm absolutely digging this. This is another thing that's come from Scott Elliott, and I've been using this quite a bit lately. Now, 2 ways you could go here. You could either, if this is going out to a client or even for yourself, you can either just put a limiter on here, or you could put something like ozone on, just to hear what it's going to sound like in the final sort of when you master it, if you master it yourselves. Oh, just put a limiter on that. You just use the stock one from Presonus. Gone too far. And they've got a setting the -1 and the -3. Go for the -1, and I'll adjust the threshold as and when. It's not going to do any gain reduction. It's just to bring it up to a bit of loudness, just so it's up to sort of mastering level. So all we do then, I've got everything on there that I need to set me off with a mix, so I can just start and drop tracks in there. I'll just save this as a template, and we shall call this mix temp 1, because I might do a couple of different ones of these. So let's just call them out Studio One for now. No, we don't want to save that. Yes, you can see my OBS. Let's just take that down. Let's bring Studio One back up. We'll open a new session up, and all your templates get saved under user. So there's a couple of the writing templates. As you see, I've added another one in there for ELE since the last video, and there's the mix template one. So we'll just open that up. It's just loading all the plugins up. There you go. There's your mix template. Everything ready to go. Drop your tracks in and start mixing to your heart's content. So there you go. That's my mix template, and the colours that I use, some of the plugins that I use on the different buses, and I'm showing you how to set up folders and set them folders up as buses. Now, if you just wanted to use them as folders, you can do that, and then separate buses up, you can do that as well. But I've been liking it doing it this way, having them as folders. Then you can drop your tracks into the folders, and then your mix view is not getting so cluttered. You can close the folder down from either the mix window view or from the session view. Yeah, let me know what you guys think about this. Like I say, it's my updated mixing template for, well, we're almost in 2026, but 2025. And yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this. Let me know what you think about it down in the comments. And if you want to grab yourself some Wizard merch, there's a link to the merch store in the description. But that's all from me, folks. I'll catch you in the next one. Right, folks, I hope you enjoyed that video. You can follow me on social media, and you can get my music online. And if you want to support the channel, there's Buy Me a Coffee and PayPal links. They're all down in the description. Click up here to subscribe, and click the link down there for videos that you may not have seen. Keep it loud and keep it heavy.